I'm Gena, and you're listening to Speak Now, Jamming with My Jazz at 95.7 FM WEOT. I'm going to introduce you to a fellow writer, although she's a published author. But before we start that, I want to read a quote to you, and it simply says, I am strong because I know weaknesses. I am beautiful because I am aware of my flaws. I am fearless because I've learned to recognize illusion for real. I'm wise because I learn from my mistakes. I am a lover because I have felt hate, and I can laugh because I have known sadness. Author unknown. So today, it's all about the poetry. It's all about the writing experiences as I introduce you to Rita Fagin, Simply Rita. How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming in.
I am delighted to be here.
Yeah. And so we're going to just talk about your journey as a writer. I just want to know what brought you into writing. How did you get started writing?
Interesting question. I first began writing when I was 8 years old. Around about that time, I was in the second grade. Back then, it probably was a writing assignment. And it's something that I just kept doing. I enjoyed it. People enjoyed it when they read it. And it was very encouraging. As I got older, of course, it got me through some dark times. I turned to my writing for healing myself, for healing others. But at that time, I never dreamed about doing it as a career. It didn't come to me to do it as a career till around about 1998. As far as a job, I used to build transmissions. I worked in Muncie, Indiana. That is my hometown. I was born and raised there. And for all intent and purposes, great job, great benefits, great insurance. It didn't stay. We were a victim of NAFTA. And if the listeners are not familiar with that.
No, I'm not. Tell me what that means.
NAFTA is the North American Trade Agreement. And in short, a lot of American jobs went to Mexico.
Okay.
And they decided not to take Simply Rita with them. So at that time, it was also my beginning journey with God. I had given my life to the Lord actually a year before then. And as they told us that we were losing our jobs, it was going to be 800 of us. We worked for Borg Warner Automotives. They said 800 of you are going to lose your jobs. And as I was building the transmission, I said, God, because I kept hearing something. I kept hearing a rhythmic year. And I said, God, what is that? And he said, it's a calendar. And Sister Gena, I didn't know what to do. I just went home and I began taking writings and I just laid it out in an album, the old spiral albums. And I said, okay, I know what a calendar looks like. So I took a poem and I put at the top of the album and I took dates and put them at the bottom of the album and just went from there. And that became the very first poetry calendar that I did. From the poetry calendars, I got a wonderful response.
So wait a minute. I want to back up. So at the time you were losing your job is when actually God actually spoke into your spirit that you're going in another direction then.
Yes, because I said, God, by this time it had been 10 years. Work, layoff, work, layoff, work, layoff.
There you go.
And, most people like to eat every day.
I know.
I'm one of those people.
Me too.
And so this pay me now and then not later, that just did not work for Rita Fagin.
Right.
And so I said, God, if you take me away from this, take me away for good. And that's when he led me into the direction of making a living in my writing.
That's wonderful.
Now, we're going to be honest, right? I was disobedient because I didn't really walk totally in faith with what God was telling me to do.
You couldn't see how that was going to sustain you.
Because a calendar, you get them at the beginning of the year. Probably don't need them too much after that.
Right. And then everybody not going to buy this specific calendar. Okay.
And I'm like, I need a job, Lord. So I kind of tiptoed around it. And I did the calendar. And then I tiptoed into greeting cards. And Hallmark was telling me that they were the very best. I didn't agree with them, but hey. So in the back of my mind,
it was conditioning. Yeah.
We realize that now,
right?
But at that time, I didn't. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, no.
What I'm saying is that was Hallmark conditioning the society to say we're the best, so you don't even need to write.
They were wrong.
Yeah.
Even if we just step to the present for a moment, and then we'll get back to the journey.
Yeah.
I was asked to be part of a funeral today. I was asked to do a recital. I was asked to write about what it's like to lose someone. And when I write, it's specific to that event.
Okay.
So you're not going to get a carbon copy like you do at Hallmark. Nothing against Hallmark.
Right.
But this is original.
Right.
And it's personal. But at that time, still, backtracking, I still couldn't see how I could make a living at this. So I still continue to work, and I might do a little greeting card here, and I might do a little leaflet there. But never did I do a book and think I could make a living doing the book. And it actually took some challenges in my body, because now I'm at the same point now that I was in 1998.
Wow.
I have a great job. I have great benefits, retirement. I have all of that. But physically now, my body is not conducive for that. So in all honesty, I've not worked in the last 6 months. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, I remember when I asked you to take me out of the factory for good. And I didn't stick to what I asked you to do. And God does not go back on his promises.
Right.
He just doesn't. And so, whereas others may see my physical challenges as a setback, it really isn't. Because had it not been for the physical challenges, I never would have turned back to my love of writing. And since then, I've gone full-fledged. I am bound and I am determined. And in this, it's not even about the money anymore. It's definitely not about a fame, and it's not about fortune. This is my gift.
And you're walking in your purpose.
And when I have people telling me that the words that I write have lifted them out of depression, then this is what I'm to be doing.
That's wonderful.
Because the word says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw the men unto me. So a pastor will do it his way. An evangelist, she may do it her way. And the teachers, they may do it their way. Simply Rita does it her way. I do it poetically.
Right.
And as you read, eventually you're going to see nothing but the word. And I often call it my poetic Bible.
That's cool. Share something with us.
Right.
Gladly.
Now, the first one I'll recite.
And which book is that from?
This
Because
is
wait a
from-
second. You have how many published books?
I have 5 published books.
Okay.
And this is the most recent one.
All right.
It is called Poetic Dance. And this is the very first one I actually did a book signing on. I had the privilege of doing that April 17th. I did it at the Gena location library. Had a wonderful turnout.
How can it be obtained?
They can obtain it by either going to lulu.com, and that is LULU.com. And they can just look for Poetic Dance by Simply Rita.
Okay.
And then, of course, they can contact myself through Facebook. They can contact me through phone, through texting, because it's actually probably better to get it from myself personally, because I want to autograph it to you. and I want to be able to give it to you in your hand if at all possible. But if that is not possible, lulu.com.
Okay.
And generally when I write a book, whatever the title of the book is, that first poem is going to be that as well. So since this is called Poetic Dance,
Okay.
this poem is called Poetic Dance. And at the time that I wrote this, it had actually been 8 years since I had written my last book. So that's what the lyrics are talking about. So many months since I have penned, 8 years to be exact. Now with the keys below my hands, I don't know how to act. I'm like a child at Christmas time, elated at the chance to bring to you a rhyme or two. It's called Poetic Dance. What is this movement in my soul, this strong poetic beat? How do the words so spirit-led begin to move my feet? It's just a gift, a high, a lift, but when I give my all, a dance from rhymes begin to shine and all my troubles fall. I pray when reading word for word, your stress begins to go. I pray you leap into the wind through God's poetic flow. My final wish, I pray this book helps every circumstance. And as you read, I pray you're blessed. Enjoy Poetic Dance. Simply Rita.
And that was to get you back in the flow of writing after not writing for, or were you writing and just not publishing?
I was writing, but not publishing books.
Right.
I was
okay.
still doing greeting cards. I was still doing the poetry calendars.
Okay.
And the calendars, God has blessed me to do that every year since 1998. And with the poetry calendars, whatever's going on in that month, that's what the poem is pertaining to. So January is going to be your new year. February, that hopeless romantic. March, spring, so on and so forth. And the beauty of it is nothing is ever repeated. Since God's mercies are new every day, He gives me the gift to write something new every day. So whatever calendar I put out last year, all the way back to 1998, they have never been repeated.
So you've been doing publishing calendar since 98?
1998.
That's cool. That's cool.
And
And who published? Where is the publishing company?
The company that does that is called Printy Center USA. Stumbled across them on the internet. I do everything electronically, and that's what's so wonderful about it.
But I thought that was through HS Publishing.
HA Publication is the name of my company.
Okay, gotcha.
They mass produce for me.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's great because everything is done electronically.
Mm-hmm.
So I never even have to leave my home. So I write it, I design it, format it, hit a send button, and then they mass produce for me. And so after they do the mass production, they get it back to me, and you get those the same way through myself, through email. Just contact me. I'll get it to you.
Is it difficult to keep that vision in front of you? Is it difficult at times to continue to write, or does it just automatically flow with you? I've talked to some people who they have to physically, mentally make themselves write every day. And then there are some that it's a part of their daily routine to write. What about you?
It's never a struggle. It's
Okay.
again, it's my calling. So no, I've never had to struggle with it. So what you're referring to is most people call writer's block. No, I've never had it, but I take no glory in it. It's God's gift.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether if I'm sad, I write. If I'm happy, I write. If I'm mad, I write.
Okay.
And what's great about it as well is when I'm writing, I might be ministering to myself. I might be ministering to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone needs something at all times. So the writing comes at all times, early in the morning, late at night. I'm never at a loss for words.
Okay. How do you encourage children? Do you write poems for children?
I do.
Do you
Actually,
have something in there?
I have something called Charlie Brown because, like most kids, Charlie Brown was my favorite television show. And so I wrote about him.
Okay.
And most people remember as a kid it was devastating if you missed a Charlie Brown show. And so that's what this poem is about.
Okay.
Halloween, it's Charlie Brown. Thanksgiving, watching too. Christmas was my favorite one, my childhood watching you. Easter Beagle had a place. Your movies brought a grin. How saddened if I missed a show. My world was at an end. Why did they give you but a rock? Why were the others mean? The bullies, they were all around. It's true in make-believe. But still you gave a memory, and now you're on a disc. I'll watch you in the dead of night. No more a show to miss. And in my mind a fantasy, I'll give you everything. At Valentine, you'll have a kiss expressing what you mean. You'll be a star and not a joke, a prince for Princess Fair. Someone adored and not a bore, no other could compare. A childhood watching every show, you never brought a frown. How empty if I never knew the gift of Charlie Brown.
That takes me down memory lane with Charlie Brown. Well, I'll just say, tell you what, let me just sit back and go ahead and do your poetry, readings. Many times when I sit with poets or I've watched poets, they'll tell a story as they're reading.
Okay.
Okay, you go ahead.
All righty. Well, I have a lot of support from my co-workers at General Motors. Mm-hmm. Our local is Local 229. That is our union representative. And so this poem is actually called The Line because I was writing in honor of the good gals and guys that I work with. The line, that running line, it never seems to stop. At times we need to catch our breath or else we'll surely drop. The trucks, those classy trucks, we've built them many years. But let me tell you, everyone has blood, some sweat, and tears. With joy we build the GMCs, those Silverados too. The heavy duties, diesels all, are made by me and you. Together yet they stand alone, surpassed by only pride. No arrogance, we're just the best. It's time to join the ride. Without regret, no doubt you bet, the money that you spend, we guarantee you will be pleased, your bliss will never end. Assembled in the USA, Fort Wayne to be exact. We are the best, above the rest, no fiction, it is fact. The line, that running line, surprises are in store. The past, the now, the future has, the greatest, that's for sure. Shout out to UAW 2209.
All right. Have you sold any of the books at GM?
Oh, yes.
Oh, plenty. Huh?
They have been very, very supportive. And some have bought that I'm aware of because they've contacted me personally. Some have bought through other people.
Nice.
Some have bought on the line, which is the lulu.com that I was telling you about. Nice. But I've had a wonderful response, and I'm grateful for that.
What's your future future vision for Simply Rita? I like that name, Simply Rita.
Thank you. I want my work, like music, to transcend all over the world. I want it to be in every known language, from the richest country, the United States, to the poorest country, because everyone needs inspiration. Everyone needs hope. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs love.
How are you doing that? I'll just say that. I'll just share this. I recently spoke with a business coach who talked about the marketing rule of 7, which is simply you share what you do in 7 different ways, or 7 days, or at least 7 ways or 7 days, because that is when what your business is or what you're doing is imprinted in the mind of the buyer. Mm-hmm. Had you ever heard the marketing rule, the rule of 7?
No, I haven't. And actually, I've gotten, and I just feel like it's God's timing, because I've gotten more exposure with these last few months than I have within the last couple of years.
Awesome.
But I also, is the first time I've really promoted, because for the most part, I really wrote just for the joy of writing. It's like the scripture says, it's like fire shut up in my bone. I couldn't stop writing if I wanted to. I wake up writing, I go to bed writing. And so it's a joy for me, first of all. But then when I wanted to do it for a living, and then I thought, okay, you're going to have to do more than want it. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to do something. And I remember a pastor friend of mine saying, working will, wishing won't. So like a singer, if they want that CD sold, they have to get into the studio to sing the song.
Right.
And then they have to go out on the concert. And then it has to be promoted. Likewise, I have to do the same.
And I think that's what that marketing rule of 7, to push it 7 times, 7 ways, at least 7 times, 7 ways. Yeah. Constantly pushing it.
Well, this is one right now.
This is it right now. All right. Okay. Do you have another one?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And this one here, this is actually a recent one I wrote in memory of my mother.
Okay.
I lost my mother in 2006, and you never get over. You get through, but you never get over. So it was her birthday, so I was writing in memory of her birthday. Nice. Her birthday is November 21st, and it's simply entitled Mother. Mother, did you have a clue too soon you'd go away, that earth would hold your memory that words could not convey? And mother, did you ever guess that after all this time, your passing would be ever fresh inside my lonely mind? There's laughter when I think of you, quite loudly, I confess. But then there are the days of birth, which is my biggest test. I think of when I'd search the stores to find that perfect gift, that perfect blouse, that perfect dress to give your heart a lift, or bake a cake to bring to you a card expressing love, some money tucked inside of it or in your hand I'd shove. I never threw a party large, such grandeur wasn't you. But if I had the chance of chance, this surely I would do. I'd lay upon your tender heart, sing happy birthday, Mom. These are the thoughts that give me strength and help me carry on. Simply Rita.
That's nice.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, of course, there's the silly side of me. I have one.
You don't want to read everything from this book. Well, you want to sell that book.
That's also, I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's what's hard as well. Because this is such a joy for me.
Okay.
And I'm a giver.
That's nice.
I'm just always giving. And so I finally said, Rita, you're not going to make a living if you keep giving it away.
Right.
So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
You shared a poem with me about Donald Trump.
Well, I'm going to have to go back to that book then.
Okay. Is it in this one?
It's in
Poetic
this one.
Dance? Can you please read that?
Yes. It's and if you may remember, I shared with you, ironically, it's on page 45.
Right. Okay.
And he is the 45th.
But that wasn't planned.
That was not
for
planned.
You didn't. You shared with me.
I did not know that.
Walk me through that journey again.
Well, whatever's going on when you're asking about the writing process, whatever's going on is what I tend to write about. And at that moment, more than likely, I saw something on the news that I probably, got the militant going in me.
Okay.
And so I wrote about it. But when I'm putting the book together, I try to mix up the writing from the rhythmic style to the blank verse to short, the long, so on and so forth, and then do a table of contents. But I did not know until we were doing the vision board that I put hashtag 45, because that's what we refer to him as, on page 45. I had no clue.
Isn't that something?
That is just, it was astounding to me. I laughed, I about cried. But this one is called Democracy. Democracy is at a low. In fact, it's at its worst. I've never seen this kind of thing, but always there's a first. Compassion is an afterthought. Division is the course. Supremacists are a friend of him, with pride and no remorse. In words, he tells America to turn away the poor by asking for dividing walls. Each day there's something more. He fires those who dare to look for answers hidden deep, while holding Russia's hacking hand and daily blasting tweets All women are a rug to him. He grabs without consent. Alas, he holds a title high. He is our president. Some cannot bear to state the fact. This truth they do deny. Therefore, they simply say that he is number 45. At end, the hope I have for you, 3 terms cannot be so. So after 8, he's fired too. Then Trumpster has to go. Simply Rita.
Simply Rita.
And I'm sure some were offended.
Well, no, you just this is the artistic part. That's what I love about writing. That's what I love about music. That's what I love about the arts. No one can tell you how to express yourself through the arts.
And they can't. And I just speak truth.
Right. And it's your truth.
It really is. And some of that book, and maybe in some of the others, you're gonna hear where I wrote about Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Because that's just what's going on. And many people say, well, why should we talk about Black Lives Matter? Well, if black men weren't constantly dying, we wouldn't have to talk about Black Lives Matter. Just like we have a red light because people kept running traffic stops. So they came up with a law that says if you run this is going to be the result. Something's going to happen. So now we have to come up with a punishment for the black men constantly dying. And so until you acknowledge that there is a problem, you're not going to get a fix. Right. So it's not the imagination. Black lives matters. Yes, all lives matter. But all lives are not getting shot down. Right. It is what it is. Right. And I don't like the fact that I consider myself fat. But right now it is what it is. Okay? I'll have to do something about it. So you may not like the fact that we're saying Black Lives Matter, but it is what it is. It does not change.
Right, right.
Okay, so that's
and we live in a world that we have freedom of speech.
We really do.
Everyone has freedom of speech, and that is a wonderful thing.
It really is.
Yes. What are you going to share now?
I'm going to share The Leaves.
And now, which book is that?
This is from The Rhythm of My Dreams.
Okay.
This was, I believe, the first book I wrote when I moved to Fort Wayne. Okay. Because again, I'm originally from Muncie, Indiana. I spent a time in Ohio, and then we moved to Fort Wayne, and I plan to stay here forever because I love it here.
Oh, wow. That's nice. Well, let me ask you this. When you write, do you write pen to paper? Do you use a computer? How?
Used to be pen to paper.
Okay.
Years ago. And then that invention of that computer. And now I literally just sit down and key.
You see, I still write pen to paper. I love it. I just love the feel of the words on the paper. Isn't that something? Yeah.
Now about the only time I'm going to have something on paper, and then again, thanks to technology, I might jot something down, for instance.
You can go back. Huh?
Yeah, if I'm at church, for instance. But when something hits me. And I don't want to take my eye off the word, but I also don't want to lose that thought. So then I might jot something down. But most of the time, it is definitely I sit down at the keys and just, okay, Lord, where are you going to take me?
Okay.
I
love pen to paper. It's really kind of crazy. And then sometimes I have to go back and remind myself, what does this say?
Yeah. I've been in that situation as well. So that's another reason why I key it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But this one is called This World. Since I was talking about Black Lives Matter, this might reflect that, even though I wrote this long before Black Lives Matter was an issue. But it doesn't change the fact that discrimination has been an issue.
I was going to say, you mean it wasn't such a profound issue today because it's always been an issue.
Exactly. It's just that with technology, we see it.
Yes. Okay.
So this one is called This World. This world, it seems to laugh at me, the fullness of my lips, the darkness of the skin of mine, the whiteness of my hips. This world, it seems to gaze at me, despair upon its face, approval found not in its eyes, with thoughts of sore disgrace. O Lord, how can you let this be, this hate upon my soul? Why is this burden given me? Is thou not in control? Am I to bear the strikes of life? Shall arrows pierce my side? Am I not worthy of the love that brings forth inner pride? My child, the scars upon your back, the strikes from every thresh, the whelps uprising from the blows to wound your precious flesh, is mindful of my lesions deep, the marks upon your skin. is mirrored to remind you of the day I bore your skin. And for the scorn dealt unto you, the pain of silent cries, you are the image made of me, and like me you shall rise. So bear the stares that come to you, you will not suffer long, for everything befalling you have come to make you strong. Simply Rita.
That's intense.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what we do sometimes. And you're supposed to, when you have questions, when you have concerns, when you have worries, the best thing you can do is go to God. You know, and if you dare to ask him and even dare to listen, he'll answer you. And there's nothing that we go through on this earth that he cannot love us through. The ugliest of the ugliest, the painful of the painful, the wrong of the wrong, he'll love us through that. And what I try to remind myself is there is nothing that has befallen me compared to what befell him on that cross. Nothing. Amen. So let's see if we can lighten the moment. Let's talk about I love. And let's see, it's been a minute since I read this one, so this could have been to my husband. It could have been to the Lord. I don't know. So we'll just see where it takes us. It says, I love. I love with every part of me. My heart, my mind, and soul will reach the depth and height of you when love is in control. I love with every waking day, with every night to be, with every season warm or cold. It's just the way of me. When rain is falling from the sky, I see it as a splash. When clouds have gathered, thunder roars. It seems to make me laugh. It's got to be the glove of love, the shield of happiness. When others see that all is wrong, I choose to see the best. I smile because I'm never sad. At least I'm not for long. I'm happy for your gentle touch, cause me to sing a song. And all of this, the blissfulness, the happiness, the glee, comes rushing out when you're around. You bring it out of me. And so I love with everything, with all I have and more. For you have given this to me, a love unknown before. Simply Rita.
Very nice.
So chances are I was writing about my husband on that.
All right.
Been happily married for 30 years to H.A. Fagin, so that's probably was him.
That was probably to him, huh?
Yes.
So what is your future with writing? Where do you see yourself?
I see not only books, I see children's stories.
Okay.
I see CDs. I have a couple lyrics that I've written, waiting on one to be released. That's been submitted to a company in, I believe, Tennessee. They're called, I want to say, Total Praise. It's a gospel group there.
Okay.
And so the next CD that they released, they're currently working on it. They have a song on there called He Will, and it was written by myself. So I have been anxiously waiting that.
Girl.
It hasn't come out as quickly as what I would like, but everything is in God's timing.
It's done in God's time.
I would like to take more of my work and put it to music and sell poetry CDs. So I myself, I don't write music. So any music writers out there, holla. So we can work together. And as you may know, with the children's stories, I have some written, just waiting to hook up with the right artist to get these out. One children's story is actually called Farmer Joe. And briefly, Farmer Joe has these animals that are complaining because their barn is too small. And so Farmer Joe has this great, bright idea. Build a bigger barn. It's simple. The problem is when he builds this bigger barn, then they get to thinking, well, who goes first? Well, he likes me best. No, he likes me best. I've been with him long. And so in short, they get to bickering over who's going into this barn. So what Farmer Joe does is take them to a barn that's a little bit up the way, that is broke down and decrepit and smaller than the original barn that they complained about.
Don't tell the whole story.
So when I get an artist, we'll get that book out and you'll get the end of it.
I know, it's so exciting.
It is.
You want to
really
just
is.
keep going, but no, don't tell the
really
whole
do.
story.
I really do.
So listen, can you give us a final poem because
Yes.
the time is winding down, and you just have to come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to recite to you to chants.
Okay.
Because, like I was saying with the poetry CD, I did some sampling. Now,
Okay.
naturally, those things cannot be sold because that's not my music. But I just wanted to see if I could
Okay.
do it. And I put a poem called
ahead.
Chants to Music.
Nice.
And so it says, again, Chants by Simply Rita. And it's from my book, Rhythm in My Words. A heart that does not learn to love is a heart that does not live. A soul that does not have a gift is a soul that cannot give. A mind that does not learn to soar as eagles in the sky is trapped, and it will never know to where the eagles fly. The one who will not dare to dream is one who will not chance. The one who will not play a song is one who will not dance. The one who will not dare to read will never know old times, like Edgar Allan or Shakespeare, the poets and their rhymes. The one who has a mansion high, who lives in just one room, will be a rose before its time and therefore will not bloom. The one who chances, gives, and dreams is destined to be free, to live, to have, to hold, and live out every fantasy. Simply Rita.
And that one is called?
It is called Chants, and it's from the book Rhythm in My Words.
Thank you so much, Rita.
Thank you, Gena.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, final thought. You'll just have to come back. I love listening to authors. I love listening to the different narratives, and everyone has a story. And it's so exciting to me to sit in the studio and hear the story. Sometimes I have to force myself to be quiet because I like to talk. But I thank you. You just have to come back and share some more.
Thank you,
Okay.
gladly. Thank you. Appreciate this
Okay.
opportunity.
Final thought.
I am so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your current support, your future support, and I give God all glory.
All right. You're listening to Speak Now, jamming with my jazz at 95.7 FM WELT.